snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys! So I am here today to do my January wrap-up. I read an absolute ton of stuff in January, way more than I was thinking I would, which is really exciting. So we're just going to quickly run through the things that I read, and I will tell you a little bit more about the ones I really loved, because there will be reviews for all of them coming up soon, so look out for them. I'm going to go in rating order, so we're going to go from the lowest to the highest of the books, and then we'll do the same for the graphic novels and graphic things. So let's get started. The first thing that I want to talk about is The Shadow of the Wind. This is by Carlos Ruiz Zafon. It was my first book by him, and unfortunately I only gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. Wasn't really what I was hoping for. The next book that I picked up is Six of Crows. This is by Leigh Bardugo. This was my second Leigh Bardugo book, but this is the first in her new series. I still wasn't a huge fan of this. I felt like it was very lacking in places, so unfortunately I gave this a 2 out of 5 stars as well. I'm not going to continue this series, I don't think. The next one I picked up was Mirror Empire. This is by Kameron Hurley. I really wanted to love this. It was started out so strong, so well, and then it just went so downhill for me, and the ending was so unsatisfactory, so I couldn't give this more than a 2.5, even though I really wanted to. Like, I really wanted to love this because it started out so strong. I'll tell you more in my review. The next one that I picked up was The Copper Promise, which is by Jen Williams. This one I really did, again, want to love because I'd heard great things, but it just felt a little bit underdeveloped for what I was hoping for, and I didn't feel like I got to know the characters enough, so this one I gave a 2.5 as well, and I don't know if I'll continue on to the next one or not. The next one I picked up was Clarkesworld Issue 112, and this one I did enjoy some of the stories so much and some of them not so much. Again, I will talk more about it in my review, which will be coming soon, but I ended up giving this one a 3 stars overall. I then picked up The Dragon's Blade, which is by Michael R. Miller. This was an independently published one that was sent to me for review. I really enjoyed this. I was very surprised to like it as much as I did, and I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars, so I'm really looking forward to the next one in the series and my review, which will be coming out fairly soon, talking to you guys to get you to pick this up because I did really enjoy it. The next one that I read is a short novella, and it's by Catherynne Valente. It is called Six Gun Snow White. It's kind of a weird Western version of Snow White. Really interesting. Catherynne Valente's writing is stunning the whole way through, but it is also a bit weird, so I gave that one a 4 out of 5 stars as well, and I'm looking forward to reading more of her stuff. The next one I read was The Dread Worm, which is by Miles Cameron. This one had some really interesting points to it and definitely felt more developed than the previous one. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars as well, and I'm looking forward to the next few in the series. The next one that I have to talk about is Carry On, which is by Rainbow Rowell. I read this as part of a buddy read with Eleanor. We had a great time reading this. It was so much better than I thought it was going to be. It was really fun. It was kind of a Harry Potter fanfiction ripoff, but it was excellently done, and I just had a great time with it. It was really light, really easy, and very exciting, so 4 out of 5 stars for that one. I then read Bands of Mourning, which is by Brandon Sanderson. This is the newest in the Wax and Wane series, which is part of the overall Mistborn series. I was not going into this with high hopes, I must admit. I didn't think I'd like it that much because I didn't like the last 2 as much as the original Mistborn trilogy, but this one I really did like. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was just utterly what I wanted. It revealed so much. It was really fabulous, so definitely one I would highly recommend you check out if you've read the previous, of course. The next one that I read was Unholy War, which is by David Hare. I absolutely loved this one. It was a great read. It was a little bit slower than the previous because it's much more character focused in this one, which wasn't a problem for me, but it did mean it was slower moving. So I ended up giving this a 4.5 out of 5 stars, but I'd still highly recommend this series because the original ideas of this is just so good. I'm currently reading the 4th one and final one in the series, and I'm loving it already. It's so good. Such a good series. I then picked up Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, which of course I naturally gave a 5 stars to because it's fantastic. I love it so much. Harry Potter is just everything. It's fantastic. I don't really need to say any more. The next one that I picked up was this one. It is At the Mouth of the River of Bees, stories by Gidge Johnson, and this was a gift from Mercedes for Christmas, and I picked this up on a whim and I adored it. Every story in this is exceptionally well written. Every story is imaginative, every story is beautiful, every story is thought-provoking. It was perfection in short story form. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I didn't know if I was going to, because I haven't read an awful lot of magical realism and I haven't read an awful lot of short stories, but it was everything I wanted and more, and I just cannot rave more highly about how wonderful Kij Johnson is as a writer. I want to read everything she's published. I am so in love with her stories. They are fantastic. Of course I gave this 5 stars. I would highly recommend you all check this out. It's absolutely divine and I just loved it. I cannot talk more highly about it than that. I loved it. So you can see I've actually tabbed it, which I never do, ever. This is the first time I've ever done it in my life. But it was fabulous and I loved it so much, and there are so many great sections, and read this. If there's going to be anything you pick up from this wrap-up, this should be it. The final book or novella that I read is Mistborn Secret History. This is a novella that Sanderson bought out about a day after he bought out Band of Mourning. It was published secretly, so no one really knew it was coming, but it was fantastic. It was probably the most Cosmere-based book that we've had, and I thought it was utterly flawless. I just could not fault Sanderson for this one. It was so good, so exciting. There were so many moments that I've just adored and had a great time reading. There were so many revelations that I couldn't believe were being told to us, and I was just enthralled. It was absolutely captivating from start to finish, and I read it in one sitting and I adored it, and then I discussed it with Lindsay so much, and I'm sure I'm going to be discussing it with everyone else when they catch us up, but it was just so incredibly good, so definitely check that one out as well, but only if you have read the first 6 Mistborn books, because otherwise it has major spoilers, so do not read it unless you've read the first 6 Mistborn books. Now onto the graphic novels I managed to read, starting with the lowest and working to the highest. The first of them is Mutiny Bay. This is by Antoine Cossé. I picked this up quite a while ago in Gosh Comics. I really liked the front cover. Should have looked deeper into it. I think it's mainly my own fault for not really checking it out enough, but I didn't like the artwork very much when I actually got into the story. I just felt like it was a bit messy and a bit weird. The story didn't work for me either. I wasn't a big fan of it. I'll talk more about it in my review, but it just wasn't for me. So I gave this a 1.5 because it wasn't terrible. It had some good moments, but honestly, most of it was terrible. So 1.5. I then picked up From Under Mountains, issue number 3. So I gave this one a 2 stars because I don't feel like it's explaining itself. I don't feel like we're getting anywhere. I need some more explanation on this series. I'm not sure I'm going to continue on with it at this point because it just isn't captivating me enough, and I don't feel like we're being told enough. Yeah, 2 stars for that, unfortunately. Then I picked up Wicked and Divine, issue number 17, which is the Brandon Graham issue. I knew going into it that I wasn't going to think Brandon Graham's style would fit with Wicked and Divine. I actually really like Wicked and Divine and Brandon Graham, but not together. I just think they didn't blend well, and I don't think that they worked on that level, but I did think the story was entertaining, so I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars overall. I then picked up Toil and Trouble issue number 4, which I did really like, and this one was a lot of fun. I think the story is almost coming to a close. I think there's only 6 parts, so I'm looking forward to seeing how it all wraps itself up, but I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next one I have to talk to you about is Fables Volume 3. This is Storybook Love. I have been working my way a little bit through the Fables series. I'm hoping to get further through in time, but this is the 3rd volume, and this one I gave a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I did think it was entertaining, I did think it was good, but I had a few problems with some of the stories as well. I didn't feel like it was quite as good as some of the previous volumes, so 3.5 stars for this one. I completely forgot to say that I read Monstrous issue 3 and adored it and gave it a 4 out of 5 stars and cannot wait to continue on with the rest of the series. It's one I highly recommend. I then picked up From the City to the Sea, which is a grey area independently published one, and this is published by Avery Hill and it's by Tim Bird, and I absolutely love this. It's all told in very limited colour palettes and it's very, very beautiful the whole way through, and it basically just tells you the story of travelling from the centre of London all the way out to the sea, and it's utterly fantastic. I just thought it was really, really beautiful. This is my favourite page. Like, I love that page so much. I just think it's stunning. So, yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. Definitely wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did, but I was glad that I did, of course, and I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. The next one I have to talk to you about is Fables Volume 2. This is Animal Farm, and I actually really enjoyed this one. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. It is based on George Orwell's Animal Farm, which I haven't read, but I really want to after reading this, and it's just fantastic. I really, really loved this. I thought it was really fun, and I'm looking forward to continuing on with all of the other Fables stories because it just seems like it's a great one so far. It just has so much atmosphere and so much potential that I'm hoping it will just continue to surprise me as we keep going. And I think we got to know the characters a lot more in this one, which is also fantastic. I then picked up Gotham Academy Volume 1, which is by Becky Cloonen, Brendan Fletcher and Karl Kerschel. This is so good. I don't know why I've had this on my shelf for so long and not actually read it, but it was fantastic. The artwork is stunning, I'm sure you'll all agree. I mean, the colour palette is fantastic, every page is fantastic, and the story is so fun. I love the films of Batman, and this doesn't require you to have an awful lot of knowledge from Batman, like you could just have watched the films and that is enough, but it also does tie in to Batman a bit, which is also fantastic. I just feel like this is such a good, light, enjoyable read for pretty much anyone. I would say nearly all ages, to be honest, and I just had a great time with this. I cannot wait to continue on the series. It's awesome, so definitely one that I'm hoping to continue on with and really, really loving. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. The next one that I have to talk to you guys about is Legends of the Guard Volume 1, which is Mouse Guard, and this is a collection of different authors. It was originally a story or a concept created by David Peterson about these mice who had their own world and they were part of this guard, and it's very, very interesting as an idea. And this is a kind of anthology where he lets loads of other illustrators and designers come into his world and actually illustrate their own adventures of the mice in the guard, and I really, really enjoyed this. It's exceptionally beautiful. There are so many different art styles and all of them I think are worth saying that they're like good. I don't think there's a single one that I hated. They're all quite different. There were some that I really adored, some that I didn't like as much, but I still wouldn't say they were bad. And it just has so many quirky moments. It's just light, it's enjoyable, it's definitely a fun one, and I definitely want to continue on with this series. So I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars as well. The last one that I picked up in the graphic novel things category is a single issue, and that is Pretty Deadly issue 7, and this I adored in every single way. I felt like issue 6 was a little bit hard to get back into, but issue 7 was fantastic. The artwork was incredible, the story was fabulous, and I'm so looking forward to the next one coming out and continuing on with the series because it was just fantastic and I absolutely adored it. So I gave that a 5 out of 5 stars. One more book that I'm going to mention because I'm planning to finish it today is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. This I'm probably going to give a 3 stars to. I'm about 100 pages from the end. It might go down, it might go up depending on how the ending is. At the moment it's kind of a 2.53 stars, which I know a lot of you are probably thinking, why is she giving that to my favourite ever book? I know a lot of people love this, but for me it has been such a slog, so slow. The only way I've been able to finish it is with the audiobook, so yeah, I'm going to finish this today, definitely, because I only have 100-ish pages, so it should definitely be doable, and it's the last day of the month today, so I thought I would include it even though I haven't technically finished it, but I kind of know what I'm going to rate it anyway, so I will have a review of this up when I finish it as well, and you can hear more of my thoughts then, but I thought I would just say I'm reading this still, and it will be finished up by the end of the month. So those are all of the things that I have been reading or am currently reading and what I thought of them. Please do let me know if you've read any of the ones that I mentioned or if you're planning to read any of the ones I mentioned. I would say that definitely the Sandersons and the Kidge Johnson and David Hare are well worth picking up. I'd also say Pretty Deadly, Mouse Guard and Gotham Academy are all worth picking up, so definitely check some of them out. Let me know your thoughts on any of the ones I've mentioned. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all again soon in another video. Bye! Me and you gonna have a little chat.